Representative Jones, thanks for being with us. I want to say we are monitoring a live feed from Alabama where officials are updating the investigation into the overnight shooting that killed 4 people. We're going to monitor for news they make, and we're going to update our audience as needed as we wait. Let's start with what is happening tomorrow. You, along with a group of faith leaders, are going to lead a Moral Monday protest in Nashville. I wonder what you see as the role of these marches, as the role of activism when it comes to pushing back against a political party that turns its back on the people.
Yes, well, thank you so much for having me. And my heart is with the folks in Alabama, in Kentucky, as well as our folks still here in Nashville dealing with the mass shooting at Covington Elementary. We see that it's nonstop. We see that we cannot go about politics as normal. And that's what the role of protesting and mass mobilizations are. It's to dramatize to these politicians that we're not going to allow your policies of proliferating guns in our community to happen in the comfort of silence. That this is our last week here in Tennessee of our legislative session, so we're going to continue to put pressure on my Republican colleagues and the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, to act and to put the interests of our people over the campaign contributions of the NRA and the Tennessee Firearms Association. It is immoral that we're allowing this to happen time after time after time, and all that they tweet is thoughts and prayers. It's immoral, it's extreme, and we must continue to make them uncomfortable as people are being murdered. I mean, in Alabama, the Sweet 16 birthday party, 4 dead, over 15 teenagers wounded. These are children. This is, I mean, this should, if this is not going to compel us to act, one shooting after another, what will?
Right. If you don't see this as a moral issue, what then is a moral issue? President Biden released a statement on the shootings in Kentucky and Alabama. I want to read you a part of it. It reads, "Guns are the leading killer of children in America, and the numbers are rising, not declining. This is outrageous and unacceptable. Americans agree and want lawmakers to act on common sense gun safety reforms." I wonder how you see Democrats playing offense on this issue. How do they highlight how GOP gun policies make our communities more dangerous? How do they build the political will necessary to get this done?
Well, the thing is, and the thing that's been confirmed to me these past couple of weeks of meeting with Republican members of the community, is that the majority of Tennesseans, in my state, I would say the majority of Americans, support common sense gun laws like red flag laws, universal background checks, even banning these AR-15s and militarized guns. But it's a small group of extremists who are loyal and beholden to the NRA. That's what we're talking about. The vast majority of Tennesseans that I've spoken to across the state in the past couple of weeks are saying, you know, thank you for doing something. These were Republicans, independents, mothers from suburban Williamson County, the wealthiest county in Tennessee, saying thank you all for doing something. And so I think we have the public will with us, but it's just these politicians who are afraid of being primaried. I mean, when we start talking about red flag laws here, a Republican governor, an NRA endorsed governor said red flag laws, the Tennessee Firearms Association and the NRA came after him and came after my Republican colleagues saying, we will primary you, we'll do a scorecard against you. I got the same emails, but I don't care because I'm not beholden to them. But my colleagues and the Republicans are so in the pockets of these special interests that they've forgotten what it means to serve the people. And so what we have to do is we have to go to their districts and continue to lift up the issue and to shame them and say, you know, they don't have the interests of their constituents in mind when they're making these decisions. They don't have the interest of the safety of our school children. They're more obsessed with these culture wars. They're more obsessed with these false moral narratives of saying we're going to ban drag shows, which are not threats to young people, but saying we're not going to actually do stuff to ban the actual threat, which is mass shootings, the #1 cause of death for our youth right now. We're the only nation that has this issue, and that's not by accident. It's because we are a nation that is so engaged in this gun culture because of money, the moneyed interest behind it.
For those who are at home, and we promise to bring you news from that news conference in Dadeville, Alabama, the death toll remains at 4, 28 wounded. Right now, law enforcement officials are asking for any help in identifying that shooter. Rep. Jones, you know, I've heard you talk about the friction between younger generations and those who hold power in Tennessee. I don't think that is just a dynamic in Tennessee. You have predicted the South will rise anew. What does that coalition look like? And what's it going to take to break through the Republican dominance in your state?
Definitely. I mean, you see where this is happening. It was in Alabama. Tennessee, Kentucky. And so we have to continue to build this multiracial coalition, this fusion movement here in the South that transcends regional divides of urban and rural. We have to break through the barriers of racialized politics that try and make us afraid of each other, and let people know that we stand united in this issue. When I see these protests happening, when I see these Gen Z coming to the Capitol, it is multiracial. It is folks who are just saying that we have to do something and we have to come together, and that this is not left or right, but right and wrong. It's a coalition of conscience that we're creating. And so I see it's the force that has transformed the South before, when we look at Reconstruction, when we look at the Civil Rights Movement, and now when we look at 2023, we see the same coalition coming together to build a new South. And that's what has my colleagues are doing. Sorry. I guess
my question to you, Rep. Jones, as someone who is actually in this fight, is we often hear that demography is destiny, right? We hear that these demographic changes, that this new coalition is what is going to lead to change in states like yours. Is that coalition any match for gerrymandering or other forms of voter suppression that I think sometimes can feel abstract, but the actions from Tennessee Republicans kick you out of elected office? I would argue they highlight an authoritarian strain that is growing within today's GOP. And I wonder, as you talk to constituents, as you talk to members of this coalition, if you feel your expulsion actually opened the eyes of voters to how GOP lawmakers are choosing to wield their power.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up that point, because I mean, definitely that extreme display of expelling us. I'm 27. I'm the youngest Black lawmaker. Pearson's 28. You know, we represent our generation, but it was the most extreme manifestation of authoritarianism. And in fact, they made a mistake by expelling us because they revealed how far they're willing to go to attack democracy, and they've shown their hand. And so the good thing about that, though, is that we know who our opponents are now. We see how clearly anti-democratic they are, how extreme they are, how they don't care about the will of voters, but it's really about their power and maintaining their power. But their misstep was that they didn't think that the nation, the world would respond, that they thought they would be able to flex their power like they always do and kick us out, and no one would care, no one would pay attention. But the opposite happened because it was so blatant and it was so dramatized. The world is watching. And so I do believe that this is galvanized. Republicans were emailing their representatives here in Tennessee saying, you all do not represent me. That is an attack on our most basic fundamental ideals of how our government should work. We may not agree with Jones, but we believe that he deserves to represent his district. And so they've misstepped, and they've opened up a door where people are seeing, you know, the Republicans are calling on the House Speaker to resign. You had hundreds of clergy saying we want the House Speaker to resign because of his attacks on democracy and doing nothing for our kids who are dying in schools. And so they've really misstepped with this attack on democracy. It's backfiring. It's galvanizing a movement, and they're gerrymandering. Just right in Tennessee this week, their maps were attacked in the courts. The judges said that these maps are unconstitutional, so now they're going to have to relook at their maps. And so the world is watching. We just have to keep the spotlight here on the South, because as goes the South, so goes the nation. And this is going to have national implications. That if what happened here in Tennessee happened without challenge, other states would follow. And so I'm so glad that the nation paid attention to Tennessee and sent a clear message, but the work is not done. We must continue to challenge authoritarianism, whether it's here in the state level or at the federal level, with these candidates at the NRA convention talking about, you know, using guns to challenge the federal government. I mean, we have to pay attention to these anti-democratic forces that are putting all of us in danger and really putting our nation on a stage that we don't want to be on.